Because, I figured, like, I've kind of gotten this far. I mean, might as well just go for it. I mean, by myself. But, like, it's going to be for
So, hi everyone, my name is Devin Lomax. For my 20% project, I decided to base it upon the biomechanics of basketball shoes. So I'm an athlete, and I've been an athlete for quite a while. I've also considered basketball my favorite sport for quite a while as well. And I've purchased basketball shoes just like any other player, but I've always questioned the high price basketball shoes come in that are really best for your performance. So like top notch. Right, and that right there led to the question of how exactly do basketball shoes improve your performance on the court? And that's really an important question I based my whole project on at the very beginning. So while conducting research, I discovered some flaws in current basketball shoes, and for a product, for my 20% project, I decided to design my own basketball shoe, which would theoretically perform optimal biomechanical functions. Okay. To start off, biomechanics is defined by the study of the science of the body in motion. But to have necessary information for my design, I had to study the biomechanics of the human foot and ankle as well. So proper foot biomechanics allows us to walk, run, jump, and move freely without pain or dysfunction. And during walking and running, the musculoskeletal system generates forces to propel our body forward, and to propel us forward efficiently. The feet have to alternate between two states, one being a strong, rigid structure, and one being a softer, more flexible one. So the foot alternates between two states, and specifically a mobile adapter to adjust to the varying terrain and a rigid lever for forward propulsion and locomotion. So the timing of these two states is termed as the gait cycle, which is the natural movement of the feet. The gait cycle starts when the heel of your left foot comes in contact with the ground, otherwise known as heel strike. And it ends with the heel strike of the same foot. So right there and right there. So this is a diagram that correctly shows each phase of the gait cycle. Now it's kind of necessary information in understanding how the feet move through my design. So kinetic chain. So the foot and ankle are the terminal joint and the kinetic chain. Now, the kinetic chain is a concept used to describe human movement, introduced by mechanical engineer Franz Reyleau in 1875. He proposed that rigid overlapping segments were connected via joints. And this created a system where movement at one joint produced or affected movement at another joint in the kinetic link. This was also a very important piece of engineering. I'll get to that later. Basketball shoes. So equipment in any sport is very essential to a player's performance, especially in basketball, where basketball shoes are obviously the most important piece of equipment. And because of the different movements and positions in basketball shoes have to do a variety of things like provide durability, stability, traction, and shock absorption, and may even be able to help prevent injuries. Now, as I said before, I discovered some flaws in existing basketball shoes. Here's just some examples of existing basketball shoes. So the first flaw I came upon was the narrow toe box. So if you were to take an X-ray of an NBA player's feet and like toe bones inside of their shoe, you would likely see that their toe bones have been squeezed narrower than the ball of the foot. Leading sports podiatrist Dr. Ray McClanahan stated, the natural human foot is not designed to get narrower from the ball of the foot, it's designed to get wider. And what this does is it takes away stability, arch strength, and the ability to prevent an ankle sprain. before it occurs. So here's an example of the narrow toe box, and that's LeBron, which he's played like 15 seasons in the NBA, and that's what his shoe has done to his feet, and that's Shaquille O'Neal. These like their toe bones are squeezed, compressed. Okay. So like I was saying, prevent an ankle sprain. The fifth toe, if the fifth toe is in proper alignment with this metatarsal, the toe and the tendon at the bottom can actually evert the foot that's stopping the ankle sprain. And the elevated heel, like right here, is another kind of flaw I came upon. So putting an elevated heel on anything, especially basketball shoe, it forces the lower leg bones to rotate backwards onto the more unstable part of the ankle, right? Because the foot has to move down to the elevated heel, and this changes the direction of the pelvis and forces the ankle into an unstable position, which is not. Another flaw I came upon was the toe spring right here. You see that toe goes up, and there's no physiological benefit to this. It just puts the toes in a chronic elevated position, and it decreases flexion and extension, which are two very important things when talking about biomechanics of the human foot. So I'd also like to talk about high tops. Okay. High tops were created to help the foot, to lend support to the ankle in sudden stops like quick turns and such. It actually does the opposite. It doesn't help the foot at all. If a joint that's intended for mobility becomes less mobile, a joint directly above it has to pick up the slack with more mobility and subsequently less stability. Simply put, if you lack ankle mobility, you have a higher chance of knee pain. This is the whole kinetic chain thing I was talking about earlier. If one joint is not moving the way it should, then other joints are affected as well. And not only that, even though while wearing basketball high tops, studies have shown that it actually increases weight and decreases the speed and quickness of players, even by the very little, but still. And so our feet were not designed to carry any additional weight at all. So the lightest shoe has to be worn to perform optimal biomechanical functions. So putting all this in consideration, I kind of wrote out some early sketches of a shoe. So this is like, it has the toe spring, elevated heel, and the way it curves down eliminates the toe spring. And as you can see, it's a low top shoe. With this design also prevents not only the toe spring, but the elevated heel. And that's like a picture representing like a narrow toe box versus a wide one here. These are some also. I'm not very artistic, which is something I overlook. But these are some also early sketches that I drew for my shoe. As you can see, it eliminates the flaws I was talking about earlier. With this design right here, this more accurately shows the shape of the foot. So to reflect upon the whole project, my challenge, the most challenging thing was to find information regarding the biomechanics of basketball shoe, just because at the start I wasn't really looking in the right place. But once I found the right place to look, I found a ton of information. But that was a huge challenge at the beginning. And probably going forward, I'll probably draw it on a computer. This is just an early rough draft sketch.
One thing that he did well and one thing to work on.
Yeah.
I thought your
pace was great and your energy was really great. Like I don't have anything to do with basketball, and I was interested the whole time. So good job with that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They were just, I don't even know. Maybe like the likes and ums, but that wasn't even that bad.
Yeah, I know that's something.
Adam. Alright, I love the foot diagram. It was big, it was clear. I was able to see it, even with my poor vision. But some of the sentences after the slides, you didn't finish them and then continue to the next slide. So
Yeah, I probably need to like memorize my whole script better.
I like how you're like the way you spoke. I'm like really like interested in like the actual topic. Like along with Anna, I don't really know anything about basketball, but like I was really like interested in what you were saying. So,
Oh, by the way, I